Men are not as complicated as people often assume, but one thing that has fascinated psychologists, dating coaches, storytellers, and even everyday couples for centuries is the mysterious power of a flirty woman, and why men seem to be drawn like magnets whenever a woman knows how to playfully tease, smile in a certain way, or send signals that blur the line between friendliness and attraction. And when we sit down to unpack it, the reasons are both simple and layered at the same time. And if you've ever wondered why men love flirty women, this story will take you deep into the psychology, the instincts, the emotions, and even the cultural patterns that make flirtation such a powerful force in human connection. And to begin with, let me pull you right into a scene. Imagine a man at a crowded cafe sipping his coffee, lost in thought, scrolling through his phone, when suddenly a woman at the next table catches his eye. She holds his gaze for half a second longer than what's considered casual. She tilts her head slightly, gives the faintest playful smile, and then looks away. And in that instant, something fires in his brain. His mood lifts, his energy shifts. His focus is no longer on the screen in front of him, but on the feeling. She just sparked, and that tiny moment of flirtation is like striking a match in a dim room. It illuminates everything around it. And this is where the hook lies. Men love flirty women because flirtation awakens their sense of being desired. It makes them feel alive, seen, energized, and often more confident than they were moments before. But it goes deeper than just a smile or a giggle. Men are wired to respond to signals of interest, and throughout history, flirtation has been one of the oldest, most subtle, yet most effective forms of communication, long before dating apps or pickup lines existed. Humans were reading each other's body language, eye contact, tone of voice, and playful banter, and in many ways, flirtation is a dance that tells a man, hey, I see you, I acknowledge you, I might be interested, but I'm not handing myself to you on a silver platter. And that balance of availability and mystery is exactly what excites him, because men thrive on a challenge. They crave the thrill of pursuit, and a flirty woman doesn't give it all away at once. She leaves hints, creates sparks, and keeps his imagination running. And in a world where so much feels predictable and routine, that unpredictability is intoxicating. Another big reason why men love flirty women is that flirtation makes them feel valued and desired. When a woman flirts, she sends a signal that says, I find you attractive, interesting, or worthy of my attention. And every man deep down carries a desire to feel wanted. It feeds his ego, yes, but not in a shallow way. It reassures him that he is appealing, that his presence has an impact, and that emotional boost can turn an ordinary moment into something memorable. Imagine a man who just had a rough day at work, exhausted and drained. He walks into a social gathering, and one woman greets him, not with a dull hello, but with a sparkle in her eyes, a playful compliment, maybe a gentle touch on the arm. Suddenly his whole mood changes. He straightens his posture. He smiles back. He feels that sense of being recharged. And it wasn't love, it wasn't commitment, it was simply the art of flirtation. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Men often confuse flirting with deeper levels of interest, sometimes intentionally, sometimes because they genuinely can't tell the difference, and that's part of why it captivates them. A flirty woman plays in that gray area between friendly and romantic. She leaves space for interpretation, and because men love to interpret, guess, and analyze signals, they find themselves mentally investing in the moment more than they would with someone who's blunt and straightforward. It's not about deception, it's about stimulation. Flirtation keeps the mind engaged, and an engaged mind is a captivated heart. Psychologically speaking, men are reward-driven creatures. Their brains release dopamine whenever they sense progress toward a desirable outcome, and flirtation functions like a slot machine. It gives small hints of reward, a laugh here, a playful look there, a teasing comment, followed by a pause that makes him wonder what she'll say next. And those small bursts of attention trigger the reward centers in his brain, making him crave more. It's not manipulation, it's biology. And a flirty woman knows how to harness that without crossing boundaries. She doesn't have to promise anything. She simply creates an atmosphere where both people feel excited and alive. Let's also talk about confidence, because confidence is magnetic on both sides, and flirtation is often an expression of confidence. When a woman is bold enough to playfully compliment a man, maintain eye contact, or joke in a light, teasing way, it shows she is comfortable in her skin, and men love that because confidence signals value. It signals someone who knows their worth and isn't afraid to express it. Men instinctively respect and admire women who carry themselves with that energy. And when flirtation becomes the channel through which that confidence is expressed, it creates a double attraction. He's drawn not just to her looks, but to her spirit. But here's something people rarely talk about. Men don't only love flirty women because of how it makes them feel. Men also love them because flirtation makes social interactions easier. Not every conversation has to be heavy or serious. A little playful energy cuts the tension, breaks the ice, and makes things flow more naturally. In fact, research in social psychology shows that flirting often increases likability in general. A woman who flirts isn't just seen as more attractive. She's seen as more approachable, fun, and engaging, and men naturally gravitate toward people who make them feel comfortable rather than awkward. Let me share another story. Picture two scenarios. In the first, a woman is polite, answers questions with short, serious responses, and keeps the interaction formal. In the second scenario, the same woman laughs at a joke, leans in slightly, gives a light compliment, and playfully disagrees with him in a teasing tone. Ask yourself which scenario the man will replay in his mind later that night. Most men won't even remember the first interaction because it didn't spark anything, but the second one will replay in his head like a highlight reel. And that's because flirtation creates memories. It imprints a moment with energy and excitement. Another layer is that men often equate flirtation with femininity. In a world where many interactions are transactional or routine, flirtation feels like a return to a more natural rhythm of human connection. Men are instinctively drawn to softness, warmth, and playfulness, qualities that often shine through when a woman flirts. It's not about submission or dominance, it's about polarity. And polarity is what creates attraction. A man can feel masculine when a woman expresses her feminine energy through playful flirting. It balances the dynamic and makes both people lean into their natural roles more fully. There's also the fun factor. Men love to feel entertained and engaged, and flirtation is like a game that adds spice to ordinary moments. Whether it's playful teasing, witty comebacks, or mischievous smiles, it creates a sense of fun that men crave. Relationships and interactions without play often feel dull and monotone, but add a little flirtation and suddenly there's spark and laughter and banter. And men love that because at their core they want to feel joy just as much as attraction. Now here's the twist, though. Not every man reacts the same way. Some men are intimidated by flirtatious women, especially if they're not confident in themselves, because flirtation shines a light on someone's social skills and confidence level. A man who lacks confidence might misinterpret flirtation as sarcasm or even feel threatened by it, but the men who embrace it are usually those who are secure enough to play along. And those men often find flirtation irresistible because it becomes a shared language between two confident individuals. And once you enter that shared language, it doesn't matter if you're in a coffee shop, a party, or even a grocery store. The connection feels electric. Another interesting angle is that flirtation taps into men's natural competitiveness. Men are used to competing in work, sports, or social circles. And when a woman flirts with them, it subtly feels like she's choosing them over others. It's a signal of exclusivity, even if it's just for a moment. And that exclusivity feeds his sense of victory and validation. He feels like he won something valuable. And even though it might be fleeting, it sticks in his memory because it satisfied his instinct to compete and succeed. Culturally, we also can't ignore how movies, songs, and stories have glamorized the flirty woman. She's always portrayed as charming, magnetic, the one everyone notices, and men subconsciously internalize those archetypes when they see a flirty woman in real life. She matches the fantasy they've grown up watching, and that cultural imprint only intensifies their attraction. And yet here's the beauty of it. Flirtation isn't always about seduction.
Sometimes it's just about connection. Men love flirty women, not only because they feel romantically drawn, but because flirtation makes every interaction more human. It brings back the spark of unpredictability that modern life often lacks. It makes conversations less robotic and more alive. So when you step back and look at the bigger picture, why do men love flirty women? It's because flirtation makes them feel desired, challenges them, entertains them, engages their minds, boosts their egos, and reminds them of the thrill of being alive. It plays to their instincts, their psychology, and their culture. It creates memories, it sparks imagination, and it leaves them craving more. And that craving is what makes flirtation such a timeless, powerful art. And here's the outro that drives it home at the end of the day. Men don't just love flirty women because of what those women do. They love them because of how they make them feel alive, valued, excited, and part of a dance that's as old as human connection itself. So whether you're someone who flirts naturally or someone who shies away from it, remember this flirtation isn't about manipulation. It's about magnifying the energy of connection. It's about turning ordinary moments into extraordinary sparks. And that's why men will always love flirty women, because those sparks, once lit, are unforgettable.